Tzu Chi hopes to strengthen collaborations with UNHCR and establish a bigger platform to help global refugees. New Immigrant is determined to do good deeds despite any hardships that is present in her life. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Lori Chen. Thank you for joining us. The 3-day UNHCR NGO consultations have concluded. The Tzu Chi Foundation team, through various meetings, hopes to strengthen the collaboration with UNHCR in the future. This year's theme of putting people first was put into practice when each of the refugees shared their heartfelt stories. This has motivated the world to establish a bigger platform to help global refugees.
Simon Xiong from Buddhist Tzu Chi Foundation.
This is a first. Out of all the religious groups here, we are the only Buddhist organization present.
This year's theme is putting people first. This is exactly what Master has been teaching and promoting all over the world. The Tzu Chi spirit and great love for all humanity is what the foundation is built on. That's why when we head back, we need to connect the global Tzu Chi DaAi websites with the UN entities. We are now uploading the Tzu Chi refugee video onto the Twitter website.
I had the privilege of meeting Tzu Chi Foundation at the annual conference in March, and then now you have a big delegation here for the consultations here in Geneva. I feel also in the way you've participated and you've moderated different workshops and so on, that energy and that willingness also to share what you have, and we do need that. We do need that.
Of engaging NGOs, National Human Rights Commission.
After returning to Jordan, I would think how I'm going to plan on collaborating with the local UNHCR. I would like to become partners with them.
This time around, whether it was a UNHCR supervisor or the heads of each district, I seized the opportunity to exchange with them.
What is in their hearts? What exactly do they want? I think this is a great place to start a discussion, and they are all inspirational in many ways. From now on, whether it be medical or educational, I will learn to hear wholeheartedly what the other person has to say. I need to give them a voice first.
The 3-day conference comes to an end. There were lots of discussions, debates, and more attention given to the global refugee movement. Beijing Tzu Chi volunteers are now beginning their preparations for the upcoming winter aid distribution. This led volunteers to visit 289 households in Yi County, where they assessed the most recent aid supply needs. The last time that they visited this community was back in 2012. So the local residents are more than eager to see the volunteers again. Let's join them on this journey.
6 years later, Tzu Chi volunteers once again visited Xishanbei town in Yi County, Hebei province. Locals take the volunteers into the village, and Grandpa Wayne is eager to show the volunteers his wife, who is ill in bed.
那个热啊，那个他的血会这样流动啊，这样对他来讲更健康，好不好？好啊，您照顾他起来也会比较轻松，对，好不好？好。
The grandma's pain was eased after the volunteers' massage. Now she's able to sit up and receive blessings from the volunteers. Tzu Chi once hosted a winter aid distribution in 2012. Some local residents have neatly kept the quilts they received back then. It's excited to see visitors coming into the mountainous village. Grandma Jen shares her life value cheerfully.
I feel very blessed. Whatever I eat, I feel delicious. Whichever people I meet in the village, I like them all. That's the philosophy of my life.
Whenever we saw these local people, they're always happy. We asked one of them what's the tip, and he said that the key is to have a big heart. He hopes other local residents can also learn about Master's teaching through his actions.
Volunteers have visited 289 households in 2 days to assess the most needed aids for the local residents, hoping to fulfill everyone's need at the year-end aid distributions.
In Selangor, Malaysia, the 69-year-old Chi Ming has been a Tzu Chi care recipient for over 10 years. His spine was injured when he was working in Taiwan 26 years ago. Ever since then, he has been pretty much paralyzed. Now he lives alone in Malaysia and can only rely on his caregiver for everyday needs. Therefore, Tzu Chi volunteers visit him regularly and provides him living subsidies. With the love surrounding him, he is now facing life with a positive attitude.
Chi Ming sits in a wheelchair to attend the church event. This is his spiritual support. In the past, he used to be suicidal.
I was desperate when the incident occurred. Nobody was there for me, not even family members. I was all alone, so I really wanted to commit suicide at that time.
The 69-year-old Chi Ming left home to Taiwan for work. However, due to a work incident, he was left paralyzed. After he returned to Malaysia, he can only rely on his caregiver because he lived by himself. He has looked forward to Tzu Chi volunteers' monthly visit for the past 10 years, and his life has completely turned around.
He thought of ways to be more independent. For example, he has designed a spoon and a large water bottle for him to eat and drink by himself, so that he won't need to rely on the caregiver for everything.
Now he often encourages us when we are sick. He uses himself as an example and told us that if he can survive, there are no excuses for us to not face the challenge in our lives. He is very inspiring.
I lay in bed every day, but I can still make myself useful. We should push ourselves more to do things, instead of always relying on others to take care of our needs.
Although he is physically challenged, his courage and strength when facing difficulties have won him the admiration of everyone around him.
Every year during Ramadan, there's always a blood shortage situation in Batam, Indonesia. Therefore, the local Red Cross Society teamed up with Tzu Chi Foundation to coordinate a blood drive event in hopes of alleviating the problem. What made this year's event so special was the fact that the local Tzu Chings organized the whole event from start to finish. What a feat! Tzu Chi volunteers from Batam, Indonesia conducted a blood drive event. This time, it was the local Tzu Chings that organized the whole event from start to finish.
Tzu Chings are the future backbone of Tzu Chi. Through this activity, they're able to understand how much work and planning goes into every activity. Blood drives may be just one of the activities, but it's already a good way to let them have a taste at having more responsibilities.
This is my first time as an event coordinator, and I've learned a lot from it. There are many different components and timing issues that I have to be especially careful with. It really made me learn a lot of new things.
Every year during Ramadan, the Batam area will always have a blood shortage issue. Therefore, local volunteers especially organized a blood drive event at a popular shopping plaza to motivate the public to donate blood.
To be able to serve others during Ramadan is a real blessing. Seeing so many non-Muslims donating blood really touched my heart deeply.
A total of 58 people donated their blood. What a great way to contribute to saving lives and making their own lives that much more meaningful. Guolani, a new immigrant from Indonesia, married a Taiwanese man and they had a son together. She wanted to sponsor a Taiwanese child through the Taiwan Fund for Children and Families, but considering the long waiting list, she decided to sponsor an Indonesian child instead. She has never stopped to support the child, even when she was unemployed. Her determination to do good deeds is an inspiration to all. Let's visit this living role model.
Hello, hello. Guo Lanni has come to Taiwan for more than 10 years, and her native Indonesian language has made her a live broadcaster for an e-commerce company recently.
I've been very blessed in Taiwan, so I want to give back to this land.
The new immigrants are very diligent because they cherish every work opportunity they got.
Lanni's heart to give back to society has never changed. She wanted to sponsor a child from Taiwan Fund for Children and Families, but the waiting list was too long.
That time I was still a foreign bride, not a new immigrant yet. They all call me Indonesian bride.
The social worker advised her to sponsor an Indonesian girl from her hometown. Although she was once unemployed and financially stressed, she has never stopped supporting her sponsored child.
We can still get through our life with a tighter budget. However, without our financial aid, the child might not be able to survive.
She kept in touch and shared her life in Taiwan with her sponsored child every day, and she is determined to continue to do more good deeds.
Everyone can see clearly, and when they see you putting all your heart and effort into one thing, everyone will give blessings to you.
The fast fashion industry in China creates tens of thousands of unwanted clothing every day. Many later become secondhand clothing that are recycled and sold to developing countries, such as Kenya. Today on Close Journey, we will take you to examine the complex secondhand clothing network in Kenya, which starts at 4 in the morning. Let's take a look.
Whether it's clothes you don't wear anymore or those you don't want, or factories that can't sell fast fashion, they all go into the recycling bin and become secondhand clothes. Where is their next stop? Let's take a look on our continuing Close Journey. In the capital of Nairobi is the Gikomba market, which is the final destination for many second-hand clothes, with imports of 100,000 tons a year, which is the equivalent of 4,200 containers.
Whether they were donated or thrown out, all these clothes enter the hands of local merchants. These clothes are all sold to African men, women, and children that become part of their life.
All over Kenya, all over. Everybody is wearing used clothing.
Where does Kenya buy their second-hand clothes from? According to a 2016 UN report, the top 5 exporters of second-hand clothes are the US, UK, Germany, South Korea, and China. These 5 countries account for more than half of the second-hand clothes in the world. Martin has been working in second-hand clothing for 7 years. After earning money, he invested it into becoming an Uber driver. At 4 o'clock in the morning, he took us back to where he used to do his second-hand clothing business.
Here is Gikomba, the biggest market and probably in the world.
In this Gikomba market, this warehouse has many distributors on one side selling second-hand clothes, and they are the second link on the supply chain, buying from importers and then selling on to middlemen. The profits may be high, but so are the risks.
You give up people your goods to sell. At the end of the day, they end up not paying.
Pascalu came to Kenya to do second-hand clothing business from Nigeria with his family 25 years ago because he could not find any other job. When dawn breaks, he will open the door and wait for guests because there are some 100,000 clothing sellers as competition is very fierce. Some large-scale dealers, to save $1,000 US in rent, will just do business from a truck on the side of the road.
They sell trucks. So the trucks come with goods, with the bags, and then the customers go.
According to the laws and regulations of various countries, the second-hand clothing import and export must comply with sanitary safety and environmental standards to obtain certificate of conformity. After cleaning, it can be packaged and compressed into large clothing bricks. In the upstream wholesale process, it cannot be opened or disassembled, and only a flashlight can be used to check the quality. The buying and selling process is like a mixed bag.
Sometimes end up buying the wrong goods that you bring it, you end up not realizing your money.
Wholesalers sell to middlemen who stand to make good profits, but there is lots of risk, and picking the right product is very important. Dalana is one such business person as she travels everywhere to inspect goods that will sell well in the market and earn her a profit.
Ladies jeans, ladies fashion pant. If I can buy this belt at $8.50, I normally get a profit of $1.
Taking this newly bought bag of secondhand clothes to the store, they are later opened and sorted into two categories. Good quality items can usually cover up inferior secondhand clothes and create more profits.
Maybe it's of good quality.
Yes.
The price is high.
Okay.
So she will handle here.
If one's luck is not good, then the secondhand clothes will be labeled inferior quality products with sales price of just a few cents.
So many customers.
With so many customers, many are afraid of not making money. Some clothes will have their tags, meaning they haven't been worn or may have been part of factory overproduction. The second-hand clothing industry contains many different layers, with many struggling to capture a little of its value. Joseph relies on slim profit margins to survive.
And in Kenya we have challenges in employment. Now so many companies are going down.
The global economy for second-hand clothes from 1995 was worth more than $1 billion US. It rose in 2016 to be worth $3.7 billion. This is 3 times growth in 20 years. The outermost part of Ginkomba is for retailers, where you can see second-hand shoes being cleaned. Taking these second-hand clothes and finding value for what has been cast off by factories and others is now an integral part of the Kenyan economy.
It's a long line. I think even if you can open one bale, I come and take my piece, the other one is interested with the other pieces, and there is one who is waiting even to a button.
For importers, items that are not suitable for the Kenyan market are exported to neighboring countries, such as Uganda, Tanzania, and Zambia, Rwanda, and Malawi. This creates another economic cycle in neighboring African countries. In our next episode, we'll investigate potential impact upon Kenya.
Many people think that since the elders' physical functions degenerate over time, they no longer lean to exercise. Actually, this is not the case at all. Individuals over the age of 65 can improve and maintain good cardiopulmonary functions through moderate intensity aerobic exercises when their health allows. In fact, they're encouraged to do simple muscle training to strengthen and build muscle mass. The pickleball was recently introduced to Taiwan.
It uses the same rules as tennis, but the court has been reduced to the size of a badminton court. The racket has been replaced by a ping-pong paddle.
The ball is hollow and travels at a very slow speed. The paddle is quite big, so it's easily controlled. Even a 97-year-old grandpa can easily operate it.
你如果不动，可能生理上就会慢慢的退化。
做喜歡，做快樂，做趣味啊，好生啊。
The World Health Organization recommends that elderly people over the age of 65 should accumulate at least 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity exercises. However, according to the Ministry of Education's 2014 survey, the ratio of regular exercise among senior citizens aged 65 to 69 is 62.3%, and 70 years and over is 56.2%. This means that almost 40% of senior citizens do not exercise at all.
Part of playing, we usually think that it's type of coordination training. Warm-up is a very important step. This can prevent sports injuries. In addition, safety rules are set in place, where the player needs to try to complete the game within a designated area. If it's too hard, then you should not force it.
In addition to ball games, swimming can also be beneficial to the cardiopulmonary functions. Aerobic exercises are only effective when it is done regularly. The premise is that the elderly must first consider their physical conditions before starting any type of exercising.
The type of muscle strength training can be done by lifting filled recycled water bottles. It's a good way for the elderly to feel like they have some type of strength left.
With a filled water bottle, you can easily do muscle strength training exercises, from light to heavy, breathing regularly. In addition, to reduce the risk of falling, balance training is also crucial.
Tai Chi is a type of shifting exercise. The focus is on our sense of balance. Shifting left and right, this is what will strengthen our overall core balance.
If the individual cannot go outdoors, they can easily find a stable chair at home and try to do the same types of movements.
The focus is on the center of gravity. You have to put your weight on the leg that you want to train. When the motion is finished, move over to the other leg.
Walking regularly is beneficial for both the body and mind. Make sure it's on a flat surface with well-cushioned shoes in order to protect the joints. In Kaohsiung, Taiwan, there's a grandmother who collects recyclable goods for a living. She piles them sky high at home, drawing cockroaches and rats directly into the house. This is a huge problem, leading her neighbors to complain. Her daughter felt helpless about the situation, so she finally turned to Tzu Chi volunteers for help. Fortunately, while the grandmother was hospitalized, Tzu Chi volunteers seized the opportunity to clean up the entire environment.
Piles of garbage have filled the townhouse garage. Tzu Chi volunteers came with tools to clean up the place. However, surprised by so many cockroaches and rats during the cleanup process, the volunteers cannot help but scream out loud. The house owner, Grandma Jian, is hearing and speech-impaired woman who scavenges for a living. However, she piles up the collected goods at home, creating a big environmental problem.
She piles up everything at home, attracting lots of cockroaches and rats. Neighbors have been complaining about this.
Grandma Jim's daughter often comes to help clean up, but she cannot handle the problem all by herself.
I come to clean up whenever I have time, but in the end, I do not know what to do. There is a Tzu Chi volunteer who has offered to help out. Since my mother cannot hear, it's very hard to communicate with her.
While the grandma is hospitalized, her daughter and 20 Tzu Chi volunteers seized the opportunity to clean up the garage. After clearing out all the clutter in the garage, they also washed and sanitized the entire place. To provide Grandma Jian with a better living environment, the volunteers also disinfected the whole house. With joint efforts, the volunteers are able to provide the grandmother with a clean and comfortable living environment. This greatly calmed the worried mind of her daughter.
An industrial zone in northern Thailand lacks the concept of environmental protection. Therefore, a local company donated garbage bins, and Tzu Chi volunteers promoted recycling in the community. We leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.